Hello, I'm Representative Bryan Cutler from the 100th District. Governor Corbett has just announced his spending priorities for the next budget year. Where is he increasing and where is he cutting the budget? Let's spend 5 minutes discussing the budget with Lieutenant Governor Jim Cawley. Welcome.
Good to see you again.
I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know previously off camera we were discussing one of the things that I like is how much more involved you are as compared to prior lieutenant governors in the administration. Can you give us a little bit of a highlight of some of the tasks that you have upcoming?
Well, it really shouldn't come so much as a surprise, Brian, to anybody, because the model that people saw during the campaign last year of Tom Corbett and I being full partners in our race for governor and lieutenant governor is exactly the model that we've adopted in governing. There are the traditional roles of the lieutenant governor, the constitutional roles, president of the Senate, chairman of the Board of Pardons. There's some statutory roles as well, including the chairman of the Local Government Commission. But one of the things that I'm very excited about is that the governor announced just last week that he's called on me to chair the Marcellus Shale Advisory Commission. It's going to have about 120 days when it meets at the end of this month in order to view the economic opportunity that is Marcellus Shale and to make sure that we continue to be good stewards of the environment as well as looking at all manner of different areas in which this wonderful job creator is going to touch the life of average Pennsylvanians. So once that work is completed, we'll present the governor with what we hope to be a comprehensive blueprint for Pennsylvania's future in that area.
Wonderful. I know anytime we discuss the budget, we end up discussing the priorities that come with it and what it represents. I know in this proposal, for example, some of the areas that were cut were education and higher education funding. Could you give us a little bit of background on the thought process there? And I wanted to let you know that I also support these changes because I think it's a good start.
Sure. What we saw enterprise-wide across the entirety of state government was a huge explosion of spending over the last 8 years. In fact, it's almost a 40% growth in spending, coupled with the thought that in that same amount of time, revenues only went up by 25%. You don't need to have a Nobel Prize in economics to realize that that's unsustainable, 40% spending at 25% growth. So what we had to do was look at areas in which there had been that explosion of spending. One of the areas that we found was education, specifically the basic education funding formula, where I think somewhat cruelly, the previous administration, in one particular instance over the course of 2 years, invested a huge amount of money that they knew wasn't sustainable. I'm, of course, talking about the federal economic stimulus dollars. They drove it in knowing that that line item was going to disappear, but they continued to drive it in to drive up costs. So what the governor and I did, along with working with our cabinet officials, is look at ways in which we can do things differently. And what I'm very excited about, particularly in the area of education, is we are now calling on Pennsylvanians to look at education in a different way. Yes, let's take a look at and reinvest in areas like charter schools, cyber charter schools, empowering Pennsylvanians to homeschool if that's what they choose. And yes, let's have a serious discussion about school choice, because ultimately what it is that we need to do is make sure that our young people are prepared to compete in the 21st century, not necessarily prop up one form of education over any other.
One of the areas that I'm personally interested in, and I had the privilege of meeting with you even before you took office, was welfare reform, particularly the LIHEAP program, the Low-Income Heating and Energy Assistance Program. That portion of the budget, I obviously has a lot of questions and ideas on. I'd like to know what your thoughts are and the administration's thoughts are on this area and where we can make improvements.
Well, I talked about that runaway spending and that freight train rolling down the track. Certainly there was no train rolling faster down the track as far as runaway spending than public welfare. So what we've done is we've in effect put on the brake. We've slowed it. And that in and of itself was a monumental accomplishment, let me assure you. We've slowed the rate of growth by almost $1 billion over what was scheduled for this year. What we are finding, though, as we go further into the web that is public welfare, is that there are a great deal many more areas where we are going to see real savings for the people of Pennsylvania. Going back on a reliance of more of a Thornburg or Ridge Schweiker type of welfare to work program is one area that we want to get into. But that's going to take a little bit of time. We've got a great Secretary-designate for the Department of Public Welfare in Gary Alexander, who brings that history of saving the taxpayer money while still being compassionate and providers of services to those who truly need them, the working poor. So we'll be working with Secretary Alexander in order to get that done.
Wonderful. Lieutenant Governor, I certainly look forward to working with you as we go forward. I like this partnership approach that you're taking and want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If you have any questions or comments on this topic, please contact me at my office. My information will be shown shortly. I'm State Representative Bryan Cutler, and thanks for watching.